Have you ever had a brilliant idea over breakfast? That's what usually happens at our place. So one day, my daughter and I are having breakfast, and she asked me, "Hey, Dad, do you want to be a millionaire?" And I'm like, "Sweetheart, whenever you flash that $1 million smile of yours, I become a millionaire." And she's like, "No, for real. Do you want to be a millionaire or not?" And I'm like, "Okay, what's the idea?" So she says, "Let's create a mobile app. And you know how you give me pocket money every week? Every time I hit the snooze button, I should lose some pocket money. That will make me wake up early. Let's call it you snooze, you lose." Sweet as. I like the idea. Now, I'm no full stack developer, but that conversation sparked something at me and it got me wondering, is it possible for me to build an app without being a technical expert? So I put on my thinking hat and started considering how it was possible for someone like me with no deep coding experience to develop and launch a mobile app. I decided to play to my strengths. As a project manager, I could come up with a plan and write the initial requirements. Then, using AI as my co pilot and guide, I would see if it is possible to go ahead with the technical tasks. So, let's run through the process I followed. Step 1 was to write down the idea I had in my head. We want to create a mobile app, and it should have these basic features. It should allow a family sign up, add the family members, create roles like chore assigner and chore performer. What are the actions that an approver can take, like assign a task, set the due date, set the money, and approve the task on completion? And what are the actions that a performer can take, like close the tasks on completion, submit for approval, view the total money earned, potential earnings for the week, and receive the total money at the end of the week? And as for the look and feel, we can go with a task backlog like a Kanban board because, well, it's never too early to get them started on agile methodologies, is it? It is now time to let AI take over the further tasks. Based on what I need to see developed in the app, I first wanted to create the user stories for my backlog. So this is the prompt I provided to ChatGPT. Create user stories using invest criteria and write the acceptance criteria in given when then format for the below idea. Create a mobile app with the following features. And I put in basically whatever I had written down as my idea for the app. So here's the response that ChatGPT comes up with. First, it starts with explaining the invest criteria. I had used invest as a term in the prompt, which is an agile terminology, a criteria for the user stories in agile, which stands for I for independent. So the user story should be self-contained and doesn't overlap with other stories. The story should be negotiable, so it can be discussed with the product owner and the team members, and it can be refined or groomed as needed. The story should be valuable, so it provides some value, so that comes out with the why of the user story. It should be estimable, so it should be possible for an actual team to estimate how many hours or how much time it would take to develop the user story. The user story should be small enough so it can be completed and fit into a sprint, and it should be testable. So it should be possible to create tests for the user story, and we can do that usually with the acceptance criteria. So it starts coming up with the user stories. Like the first requirement I had was it should be possible to create a family account. So as a parent, I want to create a family account so that I can manage the tasks and earnings for the family members. And then it gives me the acceptance criteria, and I had told it to use the given when then format. So it gives me a scenario when I'm on the app's sign up screen. When I enter a email, password, and family name, I should be able to create a family account, and I should be able to get a confirmation that my account has been created. Then it goes on to create a lot of user stories like add family members, assign the role of the assigner and the approver or the performer, and assign the tasks to a performer. And well, it goes on to create multiple user stories. So it gives me these 13 user stories. I can further refine my prompt to make it include non-functional requirements which take care of scalability, performance of the app, latency, etc. But for now, we'll just leave it at this stage. Now that I have the user stories in my backlog, I want to proceed to the step of project management. So this is the prompt that I use to create my project plan. As a project manager, create a project plan for the development of the app, including setting up the IDE, software, any technical steps for completing the development and launching it as a mobile app. ChatGPT generates a detailed response for the project management aspects. This allows me to understand the project planning aspects of setting up this app. So it gives me a project overview. It has named it as the Chore Assignment and Pocket Money app. The objective is to develop a mobile app that allows parents to assign chores and allocate pocket money to children based on the task completion. ChatGPT estimates this will take about 13 weeks to develop, and it predicts that I will need the team members, such as a project manager and the front end and back end developers, UI UX designer, QA tester, and a DevOps engineer. Well, guess what? I intend to use AI in all these roles. Next, ChatGPT provides me the project phases and timeline, nicely formatted, and it gives me the various phases and the duration. So this is the 13-week program or project broken up into its phases and the key activities that need to be performed in each of these phases. So let's look at what the phases are. So setup and planning, where we do the project kickoff, set up the environments, define the requirements, and design the wireframes. As per ChatGPT, it should take 1 to 2 weeks if we use the resources which we saw in the previous slide. Let's see how we can speed it up by using AI. And the next phase would be front-end development. Again, it looks like it would take from week 3 to week 5, and that would help us to achieve the development of the app UI, integrate the navigation and state management setup. And then phase 3 would be the backend development, where you would tackle tasks like API development, setting up the database, and integration with the front end. UI UX integration, design, and finalization comes next. Again, a 2 weeks effort, followed by beta testing, feedback, checking with the checking the feedback of the users who are going to use the app, and the final revisions and launch in week 30. So it further goes on to give us the detailed project plan and gives us the steps or the tasks for each phase. So phase 1 is setting up and planning, which is the first 2 weeks. The objective is to prepare the development environment, finalize requirements, create design wireframes, and the tasks are created. So project kickoff meeting, responsibility project manager, set up the development environments, responsibility of the DevOps engineer. It takes about 2 days. So using these tasks and the owners and the duration, it becomes very easy for me as a project manager now to create a project plan and start tracking the tasks. Phase 2, which is the front end development task, starts from week 3 to 5. The objective is to develop the user interface, set up the navigation and state management. So again, it gives us the various breakdown of the tasks, what tools will be used, whose responsibility, and what's the duration of each of those tasks. And it allows us to then track on the front-end project structure, the core UI components, navigation, state management, mock data, and then some adjustments of and review of the UI UX based on the feedback. Phase 3 is the backend development, week 6 to 8. So that takes care of your backend project structure using Node.js and some serverless functions. You design the database schema, set up the database, develop the RESTful APIs, integrate backend with the front end, connect the components with the backend APIs, and test the data flows. Authentication, authorization setup, and then conduct the initial backend testing. Phase 4 talks about UI UX design finalization, integration testing. And again, just similar to the previous phases, it gives us the tasks, the outputs which are expected, whose responsibility, who's the owner, and how long it should take. Phase 5 brings us to week 11 and 12, launch the app in beta, gather user feedback, make necessary revisions. And phase 6, final revision and launch. So that's your go live, which also includes performing the final QA regression testing, prepare for app store deployment, submit the app to Apple and Google Play stores, and then launch the app and monitor the performance. So those are so that kind of completes our project planning phase. So far, what we have seen is that AI has allowed us to take an idea, generate the user requirements based on that idea, and convert that idea and the requirements into a project plan that can be delivered. All of this without any human intervention at all. All we did was provide the right prompts, asking AI to refine the idea, to generate the user stories in a particular format, and to come up with a project plan that will help us to deliver. This has given us an idea of how the app can be developed, how the app can actually be developed and delivered actually. Now, let's proceed with some of the technical tasks that were highlighted in the project plan. So one of the tasks in the very first week of the project plan was to come up with the technical design and architecture. So let's provide the prompt to AI saying, as the architect and the tech lead. So see, again, we are not using any resources other than AI here. So far, AI has helped us to perform the tasks which would normally be done by a project manager, by a business analyst, and now we are asking AI to act as the architect and tech lead. So as the architect and tech lead, complete this task for the above project. Define technical requirements and architecture. The outputs are technical documentation detailing architecture, APIs, database schema, and technology stack. Now this prompt, what we are outlining in this prompt is basically taken from the response given by ChatGPT itself. Define technical requirements and architecture, and these outputs were a part of the project plan that ChatGPT itself provided. So let's see how ChatGPT performs in delivering this task for us. When AI gave us the project plan, this task of technical design and architecture was supposed to be assigned to an architect and a tech lead with the involvement of the project manager. And the task was scheduled to take up to 3 days. Now, with the help of AI, we have generated the technical design and architecture within seconds. So let's look at the response. Let's go through the response that it has generated and see if it fits the purpose. So it gives us the technical requirements and architecture, which was one of the tasks in the project plan. It gives us an architecture overview. So the application will follow a client server architecture. The app will be cross-platform, working both on Apple and Android devices. It uses React Native for the front end, Node.js with Express for the backend, Firebase for the real-time data synchronization, using MongoDB for the database. Okay, so let's look at the technology stack it has generated for us. The front end, it gives us the framework, React Native, and the various other details of the front end technology stack. And the backend is going to be JavaScript, Node.js, cloud services. So the hosting would be either on the Google platform or Amazon. For CI/CD, we can use GitHub, and monitoring logging solutions are also provided. Now it proceeds on to give us the system architecture, how the client will be developed, the backend server, database, the serverless functions, and authentication authorization. Okay, and then it gives us an API design. The backend will expose RESTful APIs to facilitate the communication between the client, which is the mobile app, and the server, which hosts our application. Now the key API endpoints are provided for user management, task management, earnings, and how to display and operate the Kanban board. It gives us a database schema, so it allows us to create very quickly create the design for the tables and the attributes within those tables. Further technical requirements in terms of what we use as the development environment, for version control, CI/CD, for the testing and security, and further documentation and collaboration. Having completed the technical design, let's track where we are in terms of our project plan. So the first phase of our project was setup and planning, which involved project kickoff, set up the environments, define the requirements, and design the wireframes. Out of this phase one, the activities that we have completed, let's call it as phase 1A, is we have completed the requirement user stories, we have completed the project plan and schedule, and we have arrived at the technical design. Now, to complete these tasks, the resourcing that would typically be required would be, at a minimum, the project manager, the business analyst, and the solution architect. Maybe include a tech lead as well. The duration of these tasks that we have performed would easily be 1 to 2 weeks. And all of that has been achieved using AI in the course of a Sunday afternoon. The efforts that we would have saved is at a minimum 15% days worth of efforts, and you can estimate the kind of costs that you would be saving by using AI. As the next steps, I would ask AI to guide me on the environment setups, to guide me on the app development using the technologies that it outlined to me in the technical design. Now remember, I am not a technical resource. However, I'm expecting AI to help me in these tasks. So one of the technology it recommended was React. I have never done React development. So the prompt that I will provide to AI going forward will be taking into account that I am new to React and teach me how to carry out these tasks in order to achieve the further app development. So let's look forward to the next video where I will be exploring those technical tasks. See you soon.